right, friends, this next episode is all about approval. And I caught myself as I was actually recording this episode last night. This is our third episode. So I'm just kind of sinking in, right? And I caught myself teaching you about approval and then getting caught up in it all on my own. So I caught myself questioning and disapproving of my voice, my story, my energy. I had to ask myself, what is this all about? And is it a real concern? I listened back. I realized it was indeed a concern. I was not being me. I was inauthentic. My energy was low. And so I went a layer deeper with why. Why is this happening? I realized there was some old pain and fears that came up when I started to talk about my book experiences with my family when I wrote The Men We Meet 10 years ago. So I peeled the layers on that even more. And the answer was this. An old version of me was appearing. It was an attachment to old energy, to old pain, to old fears that is at a vibration that I no longer live at. So this lower vibration is, it's not that it doesn't have a place, right? It reminds me of how far I've come, and it reminds you too. Your experiences will remind you of how far you've come. So basically what I did was I looked at it, I honored it, I thanked it, and then I stepped back into me, the empowered me, the me of this moment, the me that vibrates at a higher level. And then I knew I was ready to share. I had to sleep on it. I got back up today and I was ready. But I went to teach my yoga class, and on the way to yoga class, I was listening to one of my favorites, Marie Forleo, one of the OGs of coaching. She is the best and the brightest out there. And I was listening to her podcast. And of course, ironically, she and her guest today were talking about writing books and how many people have a story in them and a book to write. And they were talking all about how when you're a creator, you tend to have to write, especially a writer, you write and a lot of times you throw away half of what you wrote. So it was this great conversation. It had a lot of humor in it. It had great energy. And it reminded me that the world of instant gratification doesn't happen when we're writing or creating in any way, shape, or form. Sometimes it's just an evolution of letting our story emerge so that the best version of what we're sharing and who we are can shine bright. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All about approval today.
Welcome to Sip Tea with me. I'm your host, Lisa Schoenthal. Think of me as that fun and inspirational auntie or sister you always wish you'd had. This is a space where we hang out, brew up meaningful conversations about health, wealth, relationships, and travel, because life is too short not to live with purpose, passion, and abundance. If you're ready to chase your dreams, find your balance, and make a massive impact, you're at the right table. I'll be sharing real stories, life hacks, and epic wisdom to keep you mindful, energized, and connected. It's all about inspiring and empowering you. So grab your favorite cuppa as we spill the tea on how to create a life that's transformational, empowering, and authentically you, 100%. Let's drink to that and get started.
Welcome back, beautiful souls. This is Lisa, and I'm your host for Sip Tea with me today. I'm so glad you're here, and I want to remind you, we're just starting this new year, but the lessons I'm about to share can apply at any time, whether it's now or in the future. The theme of today's episode is one that hits home for so many of us: approval. This is a biggie, so I hope you have an extra huge cuppa today. The deal is this: we all have big dreams, don't we? A vision that's alive in our hearts, a project we feel deep in our gut is meant to be shared. And why? Because we know it could change even just one life. We know it'll change our life, but it'll also change the lives of people around us. And in doing so, we could create a ripple that spreads far and wide. It could inspire thousands, start a movement, and leave a lasting legacy. But here's the thing. There's a part of us that might hold back. It's that little voice inside that's afraid of being seen, afraid of what might come, judgments, criticism, doubt from those closest to us, maybe our family members, friends, a partner. And honestly, this fear can hold us back from stepping into our purpose. Or maybe you push through that fear. Maybe your truth is so powerful, so strong, that you just go for it without thinking about the consequences. And then it's out there, your story, your idea, your creativity, your truth, and then reality sets in. There's a backlash, a disconnect, a hurt, an abandonment. Let me share a deeper part of one of my own stories with you because I think it's something many of you can relate to. When I wrote The Men We Meet, 15 Key Lessons Learned in Love 10 years ago, I knew it was going to be a vulnerable piece of work. I didn't set out to write a book to share with the world. I wanted to work through my own experiences and understand them better so I could stop hurting myself and others. I wanted to take responsibility for my choices, to grow in gratitude, and to go forward from an emotionally healthy place. You know the deal. No cray-cray. The lessons I learned while writing were epic. Feelings I had buried came up. People came back into my life that I hadn't seen or heard of or even thought of in 25 years. The real healing happened. Not to mention, I was honoring my writer's soul. When I was finished, I offered it up to a few close friends I knew would support and be honest with me. Each said I should share it because it helped them and it would help others. There was something in me that came to life when they said this. You know, that gut instinct screaming, this is what you're supposed to be doing. I was ready to share my personal journey and the lessons I had learned about love, life, and those men who helped shape me. Here's the thing. When I shared it with my family, I wasn't ready for their reaction. I had asked for their feedback before publishing, thinking we were all on the same page. Most of them said they didn't care, they trusted me to just go for it. I felt confident in the book, and because I knew how it had helped me heal, I felt confident in the book because I knew how it had helped me heal. But when it was out in the world, the backlash came, and it came from the people I loved the most. Some of the people I trust and care about most weren't happy with the story I told, and at first that hurt me a lot. I hadn't expected it. It made me question everything from who do I think I am to be so open to how can this feel so bad to those I love if this is my truth and this is my talent to is this what I'm supposed to be doing or am I just supposed to give up on my gifts? There was a level of deep shaming that came at me. But somehow I knew it was not my own shame. Even in the knowing, I still stepped back from promoting the book, from creating workshops, from sharing my truth. I even considered holding it all in, pulling the book from sales, and keeping my story to myself just to keep the peace. Have you ever been in that kind of a situation where you just said, you know what, forget it. I'll just give up on this because somebody else told you it wasn't okay? Well, that's not okay. So I had to face a difficult truth. While I was holding back to protect others, I was sacrificing something huge, my own happiness and my own authenticity. And as much as I wanted to protect the relationships with my family, I realized that by not living authentically, I wasn't giving myself the chance to be truly happy. This brings me to the deeper cost of living inauthentically. When we don't honor our truth, when we compromise who we really are to make others comfortable or to seek approval, we pay a price. And let me tell you, it is not a small price. It's a big old giant one. First, there's the emotional cost. I felt disconnected from myself. I lost touch with my passion for work. I questioned my worth, wondering if I had done something wrong. All of that shit's exhausting. You end up living in a state of emotional turmoil, suppressing your real feelings and pretending everything's okay when you know it's not. That inner conflict can slowly eat away at you, leaving you feeling drained and super unfulfilled. Then there's the relational cost. When you live inauthentically, even with the best intentions, your relationships can suffer. Whether it's with family, friends, a partner, you feel like a version of yourself that just isn't real. You stop showing up as the person you truly are, and over time, people sense that. They can tell when you're not being your full self, and it creates a distance that wasn't there before. But the biggest cost of all is the loss of your own sense of alignment and purpose. When you suppress your truth, you're denying yourself the chance to make the impact you're meant to make in the world. Your unique story, your experiences, your perspective have the power to attract and inspire others and opportunities which would propel you and your soul forward. But if you're too afraid to share it or too worried about what others think, you're missing out on the opportunity to create real change. I want to be clear. I want you to hear my story and feel your own fear about judgment and criticism. Then I want you to feel what it would feel like if you sat on your big dreams for another 10 years, 10 days, 10 hours, 10 minutes. Really feel it, the pain of not taking action. And then, of course, consider who you will impact or not impact. You know you are meant to make a massive impact. How can you do that from a place of fear? The only way out of this is love. Not every choice you make is going to be easy, and the most meaning-filled lessons in this cray-cray human life are not easy. But choose to love you. Choose to trust your gut and the process. Know the people who truly are aligned with your authenticity will still hold you close, and maybe even when they're ready, remind you of how proud of you they are. Maybe they won't, and they'll step away, and this happens to make room for greater goodness. And that does not feel good. I'm not sugarcoating that. It feels horrible. But really, our whole job here on this planet in this lifetime is to find our alignment, find our greatness, and to step into that. And sometimes that means saying goodbye to people. I do want to challenge you to think about the ways you're living inauthentically right now and what it's costing you. If I could go back and do it all over again 10 years ago, I would have continued to share my story, to speak my truth, to promote my book with confidence, because the world needs our truth. I don't regret sharing it, but I do wish I had trusted my gut more and not let the fear of rejection dictate my steps. Now I'm back sharing my story, my work, my truth. I have no idea what's going to happen, and I have no idea how those same people are going to feel about it, but I don't care. I just don't care anymore. I have to live for me, and I've waited long enough. I am 56 years old this Sunday, January 12th, and I can't live for anybody else anymore. So what we're going to do is, even though it's scary, I've realized that living in alignment with who I truly am is worth every bit of the discomfort. I don't want to live for others' approval. I have to live for me, and so do you. So here's what I want you to take away from today's episode. The cost of living inauthentically is steep. It can rob you of your peace, your relationships, and your purpose. But when you choose to honor your truth, even when it's hard, you start living a life that's fully aligned with who you are, and then the magic happens. And then the magic happens, because everything you ever wanted is drawn straight to you. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Of course, I wouldn't leave you without some action steps. So I want you to go grab your journal, pause this if you need to, listen now, come back later. You can check out the show notes if you want to go over these. But I really believe it's super important to make friends with your journal, because when we write things down, we have a process that happens. And I know it's not for everyone, but if you could just try it, when we write things down, many parts of us are stimulated, right? We have our kinesthetic with our hand writing, we have our mind working, we have our heart connecting, we have our soul kind of working with us to get these thoughts that go around in our human mind and our ego. They get these thoughts out and down, so you don't have to keep processing them. You can make space, and if you need to look at them again, you can just go back to your journal and check it out. So here's the deal. The first step: identify your fear. Take a moment to reflect on a dream, project, or idea that you've been hesitant to share with others. What fears come up when you think about putting yourself out there? Is it a fear of judgment, rejection, backlash? Just go ahead and write the fears down. Don't attach to them. Just write them down as they come. Acknowledging them is the first step towards letting go of their power. They're not powerful anyway. Just let them go. Next, write your truth. Grab that pen again and write down your truth. What's the story you're afraid to tell? What part of you wants to shine through but feels held back by the need for approval? Let yourself pour out everything that comes up without judgment. This is about just freeing yourself from the need to please others. Just a little tidbit. Freedom is my word for this lifetime, and not for this year, but for this lifetime. I really resonate with that. And almost everything I do is based on how free am I going to be in every way, shape, or form. Number 3, release the need for approval. I say this, and as I said, even after all my years of work and knowing and having all the tools as a health and wellness coach, as a yoga instructor, as a person who's done a lot of work with a lot of beautiful teachers, the need for approval still came up when I was recording this episode. It's sort of part of our ego mind. And like I said, it hangs out at a lower vibration. So when I say release the need for approval, I mean, be patient with yourself. Again, just like having to throw away half of the things I write, it's also some patience and tolerance, right? And it's practice. It's just a muscle, and it's just some practice. So some ways you could start to release the need for approval, though, is to think about one area in your life where you've been seeking approval. Whether it's from family, friends, or social media, it's time to let go of the need to please. Take a deep breath, commit to moving forward with your vision, even if it means stepping into uncertainty. Ask yourself, what would I do if I didn't worry about what others thought? Awesome. So, number 4, create your no list. No is a complete sentence. That's like a very trendy little thing people are saying right now, but no is a complete sentence. So, here you go. Write a list of things that are no longer serving you. Places where you're giving away your power, where you're letting fear dictate your choices, or where you're holding yourself back because you want approval. Let it go. Physically, mentally, release these things that no longer support your truth. All right. So as I'm telling you that about create your no list, I also put on my no list people who are no good for my energy, or are no good for my energy in the moment, or are no good for my energy on this subject. We're going to get to a little more of that, but I like that on the no list too. But I love this even better. This I would consider a yes list. Seek support from like-minded people. Number 5, seek support from like-minded people. Surround yourself with people who uplift you and support your authenticity. Whether it's through communities, friends, mentors, find a group that encourage you to be your full self. Make it a goal this week to reach out at least one person who believes in you and your mission. I know who a really great person would be for this. It would be me. So go ahead, reach out. You can jump on over to my website, www.lisaschoenthal.com, and you can connect to me there. You can connect to my socials. Drop me a message. I am happy to give you a little inspiration and encouragement one-on-one. Super happy to do that. So if you can't think of anyone, let me know. This number 5 is probably the most important tool I'm using right now in my life because, I'm also a flight attendant. I also have a special events business. I also have MLM marketing. I also have a partner. I also have family. I teach yoga. I do health coaching. It's all the things, right? But I probably will only fly for another year, maybe a year and a half. And I'm already looking towards what totally satisfies my soul. And when I as I'm stepping into, because it's already happening, when I really committed to this process of starting a podcast, rewriting my book, stepping back into all the things I love, inspiring and empowering you, what came up was I need some different people in my life. I need people who understand where I'm going. And then just like that book, Who Not How, whoever that author is, thank you. The book is Who Not How. I thought, who is going to help me do this? And bam, people came into my life. I can't even tell you, have inspired and empowered me in the same way that I've always wanted to inspire and empower others. I am so thankful for my podcasting group, for Jen Dragonette. She has her own podcast, for my girlfriend, Deborah, for my girlfriend, Michelle. They're all coaches. And guess what? Coaches need coaches too. Seek support from like-minded people. The next, practice speaking your truth. Start small by practicing expressing your truth in live. Start small by practicing expressing your truth in safe spaces. I'm just telling you right now, if your partner is the problem, or your best friend doesn't get what you're doing, or your parent doesn't understand it, they are the last person you should share your big dreams with right off the bat. Of course, someday you will, but right now you want to start small by practicing expressing your truth in a safe space, whether that's with a close friend, a family member, or even on paper with your journal. Get comfortable with your voice. Say what you've been holding back. You may want to journal. You may like recording a voice note as you take a walk. You may simply have a conversation with some random person on the street. Every step counts towards strengthening your connection with your authentic self. And just a little side tip, talking to strangers is a really easy way to go because there's no emotional investment, right? So I don't know if you're riding a train, if you're on the bus, if you're talking to your flight attendant. I get that a lot. People tell me all kinds of things everywhere I go, but definitely on the plane because we're in a contained space. They assume they'll never see me again and they tell me about their whole entire life. Great. Okay. So number 7, embrace the imperfection. This is something that our society has totally given up on. I don't know what it's about, but it is okay. It's okay to be perfectly imperfect. It's okay to remember that perfection is not the goal. Your authenticity is. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. Make those mistakes. I don't know why we don't make mistakes anymore or why we're scared of making mistakes. It's definitely what helps us grow along the way. My biggest mistakes are where I've had my hugest growth and inspiration around everything in life, love and freedom and what I want to do next. If we don't take a chance, nothing ever happens. So we have to be okay with failing. We have to be okay with screwing up and just kind of keep going. So take one small step this week towards sharing something that's been inside of you, even if it's messy. The world needs your unique voice exactly as it is. All right, number 8, celebrate your progress. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. What did you do to honor your truth? What small steps did you take that brought you closer to living authentically? It's time to celebrate it, okay? I know if you're like me, you're just doing so many things every day in so many directions. And then you get to the end of the day and there's a little piece of you that's like, what did I accomplish today? Sometimes that comes because the things that we're giving our energy to are not the things that are truly important to our heart and soul. But sometimes we're actually working on big things through little steps, and we forget to maybe make a list. I'm not a list maker. I'm not a list maker at all. I'm not a check the boxes person. I've had to kind of become that to accomplish things, but it's not my nature. So I don't have a list at the end of the day with a bunch of checked boxes that tells me I accomplished something. So I have kind of become that person where I write in my journal, what have I accomplished today? What was really meaningful to me? What wasn't? So I don't waste my time with it again. And just remember to keep reflecting on those small steps. When I decided to write The Men We Meet, I went on a 3-month journey around the world. And all I asked myself was, what is it I'm supposed to do next? Not what are all the things I'm supposed to do next? I mean, there was so much in me at that time. It was like, write a book, move to a foreign land, find a boyfriend. I had all of these things happening, right? But it was like, what is it that I need to do next that will help me move closer to the true life I want to live? And then celebrate it, because the point of this number 8 was celebrate your progress. I don't care if you call a friend, if you jump up and do the happy dance by yourself in your kitchen, if you buy yourself a present, whatever it is, just make sure that you're acknowledging this progress, because the more you acknowledge it, the more that you're grateful for it, whether the progress was positive or negative, the more you acknowledge it with gratitude, the more the energy will stir and the more things will come to you with ease. So, in closing, as you step into this new year, I encourage you to think about the ways you're seeking approval. Are there areas in your life where you're holding back? Are you living in a way that honors your truth? Remember, when you honor your truth, you inspire others to do the same. Thank you for being here and for listening. I'm so proud of the journey you're on. If you're ready to share your story, step into your purpose, and stop seeking approval, know that you are not alone. We are definitely in this together. I'd love for this to be an ongoing conversation. I'd love to hear what you've been dreaming of, what your heart is full of, and how you'll break free from approval and step into your most powerful self. Please check out the show notes for my socials or hop on over to my website at lisaschoenthal.com and join my email list for upcoming classes, events, trips, and there's also a link to The Men We Meet. Until next week, when I return to talk about travel and transformation, let's keep sipping, shining, and sharing our truth. Thanks so much for listening and following Sip Tea with me. It's so important that you embrace your passion and purpose so that you can have a massive impact and take necessary action to change the world. This time with you means so much to me because it allows me to honor and serve my life purpose of inspiring, empowering, and awakening the hearts and minds of you, the next gen, because you are our future. Remember, I'm here to help. I see you. I believe in your ability to make the world a better place. Make sure you hit that follow button, invite a friend, and tune in again next week, fam, as we continue to transform, evolve, and awaken authenticity together. Until then, much love from Auntie Lise.